This message has no affiliation with the Department of War. Well, Happy New Year's, everyone, and welcome back. Today, we are breaking down a year that historians will likely call the Great Restoration. For years, we were told that the swamp was too deep to drain and that the Uniparty in Washington was too entrenched to ever let go of the steering wheel. But 2025 proved skeptics wrong. It was a year of surgical precision, unapologetic Americanism, and a relentless focus on the forgotten man and woman of this country. We've got a lot to cover, so let's get straight into the top 10 headlines that shook up the entire world. Stick around until the end, where I will give my New Year's resolution and what our movement has accomplished over the past year, or should I say 3-ish months. Welcome in, everyone. This is the Marty Memo. Memo. Well, in order to get the full story of 2025, we have to start from the beginning. This year began with the most consequential inauguration in modern history, as the 47th president, Donald J. Trump, took the oath of office once again. That day, he didn't just give a speech. He issued a series of day one executive orders that fundamentally reset the American administrative state. One of the most talked about orders over the year was the federal government's formal return to biological reality, something that we have preached many times on this podcast. By defining sex as strictly male or female, also known as XX or XY, and stripping gender identity from federal policy, the administration protected women's sports, private spaces, and the military's mission of readiness. Within hours of taking over, the CBP-1 app was deactivated and the era of catch and release ended. Tom Homan took the reins as border czar, and for the first time in 4 years, the law meant exactly what it said. One of Donald Trump's most iconic lines over his second term, and I love this one: "You didn't need new legislation, you just needed a new president," and indeed we did. In April, the administration declared Liberation Day, announcing a massive 10% across-the-board tariff on all imported goods, with a specific 60% strike against Chinese manufacturing. The mainstream media predicted an economic collapse, but what we saw was the beginning of a Heartland renaissance. These tariffs weren't just about revenue, they were about leverage. We stopped being the world's piggy bank and started being its most formidable competitor. By the end of the year, we saw domestic steel and manufacturing projects breaking ground in states that had been written off for decades. Now, as I've mentioned, I am a critic of tariffs. I'm more of a free market kind of guy with the stick and carrot, but I will give credit where credit is due, and thus far, the tariffs have been working. We can't talk about 2025 without talking about the Department of Government Efficiency, also known as DOGE. Led by Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, this was a Manhattan Project for government waste. They didn't just cut paper clips, they cut entire departments. They identified over $200 billion in immediate savings by eliminating redundant DEI offices and zombie grants that had been auto-renewing since the 90s. While DOGE officially disbanded in November to allow for the transition into a permanent oversight structure, the work fundamentally changed the culture of DC, hopefully for good. The Schedule F reclassification ensured that federal bureaucrats are now accountable to the people and not their own unions. On Independence Day, the president signed H.R. 1, a massive legislation package that made the 2017 tax cuts permanent. It also introduced no tax on tips and no tax on Social Security, providing immediate relief to service workers and seniors. Perhaps the most innovative part was the creation of the Trump accounts. This does not get enough credit, by the way. A $1,000 investment for every newborn American to encourage long-term wealth building. It was a pro-family, pro-future, pro-conservative policy that showed conservatism isn't just about cutting, it is about building. In a move decades in the making, November saw the formal dismantling of the Department of Education. Functions were transferred back to the states where they should have been originally, and the remaining core administrative duties were absorbed by Labor and Human Health Services. This was about parental rights. The federal government is no longer the National School Board. If parents in Florida want a different curriculum than parents in New York, they have the power to do so now. They don't need any of these DC bureaucrats getting in the way. Once again, America is energy independent. By reopening federal lands and greenlighting the Drill Baby Drill initiative, America became the world's leading energy exporter again, effectively bankrupting the warmongers who rely on high oil prices. Now, I am all for solar and wind power, but facts are facts. They are not nearly as efficient as coal, oil, and nuclear. This is the right move. I am glad that we are getting back to common sense policies. In February, the administration officially renamed the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America in federal charts and documents across the globe. While the legacy media laughed, the move was a symbolic reassertion of the Monroe Doctrine. It signaled that the Western Hemisphere is not a playground for Chinese or Russian influence. When the Associated Press refused to use the name, they were barred from the White House, a reminder that the era of the unbiased media getting a free pass is now over. In some of the most heartfelt news this year, September 2025 will be remembered as a dark month for the movement. The assassination of Charlie Kirk sent shockwaves through the nation. In the wake of the tragedy, the radicals' left reaction, including comments by late-night hosts like Jimmy Kimmel, led to a massive cultural reckoning. Instead of intimidation, the event sparked a historic turnout for conservative freedom rallies across the country, proving that the movement is much larger than any one individual, and that is part of the reason that I am welcomed into your homes today. The Supreme Court, bolstered by its conservative majority, handed down landmark rulings this year. The 6-3 decision in June upheld state bans on medical transitions for minors. The court ruling that states have a compelling interest in protecting children from irreversible procedures. It's sad that that was even a debate in the first place. Nobody, if you can't smoke cigarettes, if you can't get any sort of tobacco, if you can't drink alcohol until you're 21, then why in the hell are you getting surgery that will mutilate your children or that will mutilate yourself? This is common sense. Thank goodness for the Supreme Court. The court also ruled in favor of parental opt-outs for radical curriculum, effectively ending the monopoly of woke ideology in the classroom, including critical race theory, or CRT. In sports and culture, the DEI era officially is over. The Ohio State Buckeyes took home the national championship in a season where merit was the only metric that mattered. In the space race, with the headquarters of Space Command moving to Alabama, the administration signaled that the future of American defense lies in the red state heartland, far away from the high taxes and bureaucratic rot of the coasts. In health, the Make America Healthy Again Commission, utilizing new AI tools, announced breakthroughs in pediatric cancer and ALS research, focusing on cures rather than perpetual treatments. We are also banning dyes in our foods that are creating hyperactivity in kids and poisoning adults. As we look toward the 2026 midterms, the landscape of America has been fundamentally altered, and for good. The economy is stabilizing, the border is secure, and for the first time in a generation, Americans feel like their government actually likes them. The battle is not over, my friends. The legal challenges to the Department of Education's closure are still winding through the courts, and the long-term budget war is just beginning, but the momentum is undeniable. Moving on to our movement here, over the past 3.5 months, we have been able to create a coalition that is stronger than ever before. We now officially have over 2,000 subscribers on YouTube when our initial goal was 500. We created our first online store to market our merchandise all over. We've opened up social media and had multiple guests on this channel, reaching over 300,000 people across America. Although these may be biggish numbers, we have much higher goals and we look forward to what 2026 has in store for us. Now, as promised, I said I would give you my New Year's resolution. I have a couple and they're pretty simple. The most obvious and typical one is I'd like to lose a little weight. I'll admit it, I want to shave off about 10-ish pounds or maybe 10% of my body fat. High ambitions, but that is just me. I also want to get this channel to 10,000 subscribers, which I think is very accomplishable, seeing as how we're already at 2,000. I want to create an environment that welcomes everyone and unites Americans from all different types of life. I also would like to travel. I've never been out of the country and I have never been on a cruise. I'd like to do one of those over this upcoming year. I also want to attend some upcoming rallies and go to AmFest this year. And then lastly, and most importantly, I would like to deepen my roots with Christ. I've made a lot of ground, I've reclaimed my faith, but the battle is far from over. Every day, all of us face some sort of temptation or some sort of trial, but I would like to deepen my roots in faith and never waver. I would love to hear what yours are, so please post them down in the comments or share with me. Well, folks, that is all we have in store for today. Thank you for listening to this year-end special. We've reclaimed the narrative. Now let's keep the country. Please make sure you share your thoughts on X, follow us on Instagram and Facebook at the Martin Memo, and do not forget to subscribe on YouTube. Now, in case I don't see you, good morning, good afternoon, and good night. This is the Martin Memo. Happy New Year. The Martin Memo.